Hey there, this is Katherine Cartwright. Welcome in. I am going to be sharing a bunch of cards that I made using Echo Park products. This is the Spooky paper pad. It's a 6x6. You can see the pad is empty. I've got one whole piece left and a bunch of scraps. And then I also used some dies, a couple of different stencils as well. So I've got some fun techniques in here, so stay tuned. All right, so I wanted to show you, I just went ahead and made a bunch of card bases. I've got some orange ones and some black ones. And I'm going to begin by doing some techniques using some stencils. These are different stencils that I purchased. All of this came from Joann.com. You can find some of this at different vendors, but this is where I purchased a lot of their products this year. I've got this glitz gel from Gina K that is beautiful, and I thought it would look great with these little witches hats. And so I'm just going to use my stencil and run this through. This is just white cardstock that I'm using, nothing special, because I'm not going to do any ink blending or any techniques on top of that. I'm just going to do the witch's hat. And I realized that I forgot to do the top of their hat, so I just layered this back on and finished off those hats, and I'll let that dry, and then I'll put that together as a card in a bit. It's such a fun way to add such a pretty little element to a card. All right, I've got some distress ink here, spiced marmalade, and carved pumpkin. This is Bristol cardstock. This is my favorite cardstock for ink blending. And I should say that this is the smooth cardstock. There are two different varieties. I think the other one is called vellum, but that has a bit of a texture to it or different finish. And I definitely want to use the smooth. That gives me the best blend. I'm not spending too much time here blending because I want it to be a little bit uneven. So I've just inked those up. And now I've got this Bats stencil, and I'll link everything in the description. I don't know what's available at this point, but I will link it in the description. And I'm using that same glitz glitter gel again, and I'm going to run this over my ink blended cardstock. And then I will let that one dry as well. So they had a bunch of different stencils that you could add on as well. And which is a lot of fun because a lot of times when I do these, I want to add other things that are included in the line. And this time I picked up a few of the stencils and some dies. Okay, and we'll put that jar back, clean up my stencil, and then I will move on. All right, here is the last stencil that I purchased. I'm going to be using Dusty Concord. Villainous Potion, I think is the name of that little one, newest one from Tim Holtz in the Distress line. And then I have, of course, Black Soot, which is a beautiful black that works so well. And I'm just kind of putting these purples all around, and then I'm going to fill it back in with a little bit of the Black Soot. I love the movement of this stencil, and it turned out great. You could use texture paste or like that glitter gel, but I just wanted to show you that you could ink blend as well. Stencils are all the rage right now, and for good reason. They're so much fun. They're limitless in what you can do with them in terms of your color choices. So they're just a lot of fun. Look at that. So pretty. Okay. All right, so I'm going to begin this video by making a shaker card. And then I'm going to have kind of an interlude where I make a bunch more cards. I'm going to play some music during that time so you don't have to hear me talking the whole time. And then I'll come back at the end. But I'm going to begin this one by stenciling, using that bat stencil again. I cut out a circle in the middle of this orange panel, and then I'm going to turn this into a shaker card. I'm using my Black Soot here. I need to ink it. I can tell it's getting pretty dry. I haven't inked it in quite some time, so that needs to go into the needs to ink pile. I like to take like a Saturday afternoon and pull out some ink pads and just do a big re-inking at one time. That way I don't have to stop and do it a lot of different times. Okay, so I've got this ready to go. I love how that turned out on that orange cardstock. And then I'm going to take some glue. There are a bunch of different ways to make shakers. I should just say that up front. Everybody has an opinion about it, how they like to do it. This is how I like to do it. All right, so I'm going to press that glue down. You could use a dry adhesive too, of course. And I realized I should have gone ahead and put my circle underneath before I added the acetate, but since it's clear, I'm still able to get a pretty good grasp of where I want it to go. So I'm going to glue this down once I get my little sentiment circle positioned. Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. Very cute. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue in the middle. And then I'll go around and do the edges next. Making sure I've got good adhesion, and then I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to add some stuff on top, and I want to make sure that it is dry. So cute. And now I can add some foam. I've got these Darice strips. I have had these for a long time. I love them. I buy large packs of them, multi-packs of them off of Amazon. And then I love them because they're very flexible, but they have a good height, and they are a definite must-have in my craft room to make shaker cards. Okay, and I'm going to keep running this around the edge, building up the foam, and then of course making sure that my circle is nice and closed where I'm going to put my shaker pieces. And then I'll get those last little pieces. I'll add a couple to the top and the bottom just to make sure it doesn't collapse on itself. And now for the fun part, to add some shaker elements here. I've got these little orange diamonds that I'm going to bring in. These are a couple of containers, I should say, from Martha Stewart. Sorry, I had to think hard about that. This fun little confetti I've had for a long time. Got many, many jars of those, and they have been some of my favorite shaker elements I have ever had. All right, I've peeled off my foam strips, and now I'm ready to adhere that, give it a good press, and then I can start shaking. I love the way this turned out. So easy, but you still get the sentiment underneath. Okay, I pulled a few elements into the card. I'm going to add this Boo banner. And then there's also a Happy Halloween sentiment that will go on the bottom of the card. So I'm going to start with the Boo, the O in the middle, and get that positioned. And then I will add the B and the other O. So cute. Love the way that turned out. And I'm just gluing this directly onto my cardstock. Any of these things that I'm making that I'm not adding foam to, well, this one I do end up adding a little bit of foam to. Some of them do. Most of my cards in this video are going to be flat for mailing, but since this one's already popped up, I added a little bit more foam. But you, of course, could add foam to any of these items that you wanted to. I just tend to stick to single layers when I'm making a bunch of cards like this. But of course, you could make them however you want to. All right, here's this witch's hat. I just wanted to show you this cute die using my Marquise machine. And I've got some of this glitter paper. This is older glitter paper from, I think this is Heidi Swap's Marquis glitter cardstock I have had for years. And you can see that I've run this through my machine twice. And I added back in the little orange piece for the hat. And I've got some glue here, and I'm going to glue that one down. And so I was going to speak to also how I kind of come up with these cards. I am not a big sketch person. I kind of like to just cut things, and then So what I'll often do is I'll take the bigger pieces. So like Witching You Halloween, which came from the paper pad. And if you want to see the paper pad in detail, I'll link it in the description. I did an unboxing, so to speak, of all the products that I picked up. So if you want to see them in detail, I'll link that. But I like to take those bigger pieces like the Witching You a Happy Halloween, and I will add that to a piece of pattern paper. And then once I kind of get some cards going, I will start trimming them down to A2 size. This card piece would be 4 by 5 1/4. And then my finished card is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And so I like to kind of work like that. And then when I get all those little strips, then I can start adding those back in to kind of build my card. So I'm not a big sketch person, just because I don't think I'm that organized. And my brain just truly does not really work that way. I like to just kind of put things together. And I've had to kind of accept that over the years. I see people who do these awesome cards with sketches, and it just doesn't speak to me. So it's just not really my thing, but this is just how I kind of create my cards. And I was going to share one more thing too before I start the music, that I'm going to add some Stickles glitter glue to several things in this project to create some interest on here. And so I love to do that. It adds a little bit of shine, but you also don't have the dimension since it dries clear and flat. I love that about the Stickles glitter glue. And that'll be it on this card. Okay, so I'm going to turn on a little bit of music here and assemble the rest of my cards, and then I will check back in with you in a minute. I'm just going to finish up these last few cards. This is the one with that stenciled piece that I used with my Distress inks. I love that stencil, and I'm going to add this to a piece of purple glittered cardstock. I thought that went well. That's that same glitter pack that I'm using up from long, long ago. And then I added a piece of foam to my ephemera, and I still have some ephemera left. I did not use it all, and I didn't put too many pieces on that because I wanted to keep these stencil pieces the star of the show. And this is one of those products too where you just don't get the detail on camera that you do in person. I wish I could, reach through the video and let you see it and touch it and feel it. It's so pretty in person. And I loved working with it. It dried beautifully and performed exactly how I wanted. And here is that blended background with the bats on top. I love the way this turned out. I need to do this more often. I'll probably have a Christmas video and a fall video coming out soon with some Echo Park products as well. And I got some stencils with those too. So I'm excited to try and add them into my cards as well. So I hope you enjoyed those techniques that I added as well to this video. Here is the Spooky Paper Pad, just showing you again the name of it. And I'm going to lay out all these cards with the witch's hat and the stenciled pieces and just all the fun things that you can do. And these really didn't take a super long time. I did add the few die cuts on there. The pumpkins, which are so cute. There are 3 pumpkins in that set. And then the little faces, and they're so easy to put together. That'd be a really easy project to make a bunch of them. I'm sure I'm going to make some more cards with those pumpkins. And then you can see I added the glitter glue. It's dried on most of these. The few that I added to, that one particularly with the bats, I love. And I used the diamond stickle. Added a little bit to that moon in the back. It just adds a little something to your cards. So keep that in mind when you create. Be sure to share and like the video if you did. And I'm kind of deciding if I want to keep making videos right now. I really enjoy it, but they do take a lot of time. So if you have a favorite card, leave me a comment and let me know which one you like the best. And share the video with your crafty friends. And I appreciate you supporting my little channel. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great Halloween and a wonderful October. I'll see you next time.